In the beginning, there was no sky, no earth, no sound, and no silence. There was only an endless, shapeless void known as chaos. It was not chaos in the way we understand disorder today, but rather a vast and silent potential, a space where everything that ever was and ever would be waited to take form. From this immeasurable emptiness, the first elements of existence slowly emerged. Gaia came into being, the earth itself vast and steady. Alongside her rose Tartarus, the deep abyss, a place darker than darkness hidden beneath all things. Then came Eros, the force of attraction, the unseen energy that binds and creates, the quiet pull that brings existence together. With these primordial beings, the universe began to shape itself. Gaia, in her solitude, brought forth Uranus, the sky, stretching endlessly above her. Together they formed the first union, a bond between earth and sky that would define the structure of existence. From their connection, powerful beings were born, the Titans. These were not gentle gods, but immense forces of nature, ancient and unyielding. Yet Uranus feared his own children. He saw in them the possibility of his downfall, and instead of embracing them, he cast them deep into Tartarus, imprisoning them in darkness. Gaia, burdened by this cruelty, could not remain silent. She devised a plan that would change everything. She fashioned a sickle and gave it to her youngest Titan son, Cronus. When the moment came, Cronus rose against his father. In a single decisive act, he overthrew Uranus, ending his rule and taking power for himself. This marked the first great turning point, a moment when the cycle of fear and power began to reveal itself. Cronus became ruler of the cosmos, but the shadow of prophecy followed him. It was foretold that he too would be overthrown by one of his own children. Consumed by fear, he chose control over compassion. Each time his wife Rhea gave birth, Cronus swallowed the child whole. One by one, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon disappeared into him, lost before they could even live. But Rhea could not endure this fate any longer. When her final child was born, she made a desperate decision. She hid the infant Zeus in a distant cave and gave Cronus a stone wrapped in cloth, which he swallowed without suspicion. Zeus grew in secrecy, far from the reach of his father, raised in silence yet destined for greatness. As Zeus matured, so did his purpose. He returned, not as a child, but as a force ready to challenge fate itself. Through cunning and determination, he forced Cronus to release his swallowed siblings. Together, they stood united against the Titans, igniting a war that would shake the very foundations of existence. The Titanomachy lasted for years beyond counting. The skies roared, the seas collided, and the earth trembled beneath the fury of gods and Titans alike. Mountains were shattered, and the world itself seemed on the edge of collapse. Yet in the end, the balance shifted. Zeus and his allies emerged victorious. With the Titans defeated and cast into Tartarus, a new order began. Zeus took dominion over the sky, commanding thunder and lightning. Poseidon claimed the seas, ruling over storms and depths. Hades descended into the underworld, becoming the silent keeper of the dead. Together they formed a new balance, one that would define the age of the Olympian gods. Yet despite their power, the Olympians were far from perfect. Zeus, the king of gods, was mighty but flawed, often driven by desire and impulse. Hera, his queen, embodied loyalty but also deep jealousy. Ares thrived in the chaos of war, while Athena represented wisdom and strategy. Apollo brought light and prophecy, while Artemis guarded the wild. Each god reflected not perfection, but the complexities of existence itself. In time, the focus of creation shifted. Humanity entered the story. Prometheus, one of the Titans, saw potential in these fragile beings. He shaped them from clay, giving them form and life. But he did not stop there. He saw that humans struggled in darkness, vulnerable and limited. So he defied Zeus and stole fire from the heavens, delivering it to mankind. Fire became more than warmth. It became knowledge, progress, and independence. It allowed humanity to grow, to create, to challenge the world around them. But such a gift came with a cost. Zeus, enraged by this act of defiance, punished Prometheus in a way meant to last forever. He was chained to a rock, and each day an eagle descended to consume his liver. Each night it grew back, only for the torment to begin again. It was a punishment not just of pain, but of eternity. Humanity, however, continued forward. With fire came growth, and with growth came stories. Heroes emerged, standing between gods and mortals, embodying both strength and vulnerability. Heracles faced impossible labors, each one a test of endurance and will. Perseus confronted monsters and overcame fear itself. Theseus ventured into darkness to defeat the Minotaur, navigating both labyrinths and his own doubts. Achilles stood as a symbol of near invincibility, yet his single weakness defined his fate. These heroes were not defined by perfection, but by their struggles. Their victories mattered because of their flaws, because they could fail, because they were human. And then came one of the greatest conflicts ever told, the story of Troy. It began with something deceptively small, a golden apple marked with the words, "To the fairest." 3 goddesses claimed it: Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite. Unable to decide among themselves, they turned to a mortal prince named Paris. Each offered him something in return for his choice. Hera promised power. Athena offered wisdom and victory in battle. Aphrodite offered love, the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris chose Aphrodite. That choice changed everything. The woman promised to him, Helen, was already married. Her abduction sparked a war that would last 10 years. Kings and warriors sailed across the sea, and the world watched as Troy stood against the might of Greece. The war was brutal. Heroes rose and fell. Alliances shifted. Even the gods took sides, interfering in battles and shaping destinies. Yet despite all the glory and courage, the outcome was not victory, but loss. Troy fell, but at a cost so great that no one truly won. As time passed, the age of myths did not end. It transformed. The Greeks gave way to the Romans, who adopted these stories, changing names but preserving their essence. Zeus became Jupiter, Hera became Juno, and the myths continued to live, carried across cultures and centuries. They inspired art, sculpture, and philosophy. They became symbols, metaphors, and lessons. During the Renaissance, they were reborn in paintings and literature. In the modern world, they evolved again, appearing in films, novels, and games. Even today, their influence is everywhere. The idea of heroes, of flawed gods, of epic struggles between fate and choice continues to shape the stories we tell. Because at its core, Greek mythology is not just about gods. It is about us. It is about fear and power, love and betrayal, ambition and consequence. It reminds us that even those with great power are not free from mistakes, and that even the smallest choices can change the course of history. The gods may be immortal, but they are not untouchable. They fall, they fail, they struggle. And humans, though fragile and temporary, have something just as powerful: the ability to rise, the ability to choose, the ability to create meaning in a world that once began as silence. So when we look back at these ancient stories, we are not just looking into the past. We are looking into a reflection of ourselves. And perhaps that is why they have never truly disappeared. Because as long as humanity exists, the need for stories will remain. And as long as stories remain, the echoes of chaos, of Gaia, of Zeus and Prometheus will continue to live on, not as distant myths, but as living ideas, reminding us that the greatest power is not immortality. It is the story we leave behind.